Hi yogis, Heidi here, and today we will be slowing down and we will be holding these poses. We'll just go through a few poses, about 5, and we will hold them for 3 to 5 minutes. And so really getting into the deep tissue, the deep fascia, and deep into the muscles. So this will be a yin practice. And in yin, a lot of times things can come up. It can be a little uncomfortable. And the most important thing for you to pay attention to is to make sure that if there is discomfort, that it's not an excruciating pain like a pinching or tearing sensation. You want to come to your edge. You want to find some discomfort, but you don't want to do any harm. So that is really on you to make sure that you're listening and making sure that while you are holding in this posture, that you are not overextending yourself and actually doing damage. So it's really important to listen. And if you're not sure, back off. Come out a little bit. And if you're not feeling anything, you can adjust a little bit. All of our bodies are a little bit different. So the most important thing is really just to listen to yourself. Yin yoga is really hard for me. I like to move, I like to go, and it's really hard for me to stop and to sit still in a single pose for a few moments. But it can be really beneficial. And even though I know that it is really beneficial, it's really hard for me to do. So bear with me. Hopefully I'm not too fidgety. I'm going to do my best. And I hope you enjoy this practice. So we'll begin in a seated meditation. Today I will be in a kneeling seated meditation. That's what's feeling good in my body today. But that if you want to sit in a cross-legged seat, that's totally fine. And so just allow yourself to begin to arrive on your mat. Letting your eyes close. Letting the body begin to soften. And letting the breath begin to soften. Tuning into the breath. Not changing the breath, but just noticing your inhales, noticing your exhales. Letting the breath enter and exit through the nose. And as you begin to find stillness in the body and in the mind, maybe you can really bring your awareness to your upper lip. And maybe you can feel the breath as it enters and exits the nose. As we sit here in this seated meditation, as those thoughts begin to trickle in, allowing yourself to not dwell on any of those thoughts. Allowing yourself to be in this moment. I find that when I begin to become distracted or start to wander off by a thought or a feeling, when I bring my attention back to my upper lip and my breath, I can begin to start the practice again, to find that stillness, to be present. Inhaling and exhaling through the nose. we'll sit here for about 10 more breaths. Really focusing on releasing. And then reminding yourself that the brain is meant to think. It's meant to be constantly working. So not dwelling on so much stopping the thoughts, because that's impossible. More acknowledging that the thoughts are there. Not letting the thoughts take you somewhere else. Finding the strength to stay here in this space. To stay with the breath. To stay with the body. You can keep your eyes closed, or you can begin to slowly blink the eyes open. And very slowly, if you are not on your seat already, begin to shift onto your seat. Bringing the soles of your feet to touch. Letting your hips open up. Nice. Press the palms down into the earth to lift your hips up slightly and draw. So we're tilting the pelvis down a little bit. So just lift the hips. And if that's not accessible, you can just use your hands to move that flesh from underneath your sit bones, and that'll help tilt the hips. Bringing the palms of your hands to your feet. Inhale, roll your shoulders away from your ears, and then as you exhale, leading with the heart, begin to fold forward. And when you find that space where you can no longer fold forward anymore, relax through the head and the neck. Letting the head drop down, lengthening the spine. Breathing here. If this ever becomes too intense, you can lift your torso, or you can move your heels farther away from your groin. If you feel like you need a little bit more, you can draw your heels closer to the groin and continue to relax through the head and the neck. As we are folding here, it's kind of a mix between a flattened back and a curved spine. Thinking about drawing the head forward and reaching the forehead or crown of the head down towards the floor to the space just in front of your big toes. So you're finding a lengthening in the spine, a flattening of the spine in the low back to relieve some of the tension in the low back, the lumbar spine. And then you're rounding through the neck and the shoulders, finding a little bit more space in between each vertebrae and the spine. We'll be here for about 10 more breaths. Again, as we sit here in this posture, and the mind will begin to wander, you can bring it back to the breath. You can count the breath. You can feel the breath. But reminding yourself to stay present. Present on your mat. And then very slowly begin to roll yourself up into a seat. Keep your chin tucked. Very slowly. Your head is the last thing to come up. Nice and slow and gentle. And when the crown of your head is reaching up towards the ceiling, take the palms of your hands to the outside edges of your knees, and then very slowly draw your knees into touch. And then heel toe your feet to the side a little bit. Take your hands back behind you, and then very gently windshield wiper your legs, dropping your knees to the left, and then to the right. And then when you feel even, make your way onto your hands and knees. From your hands and knees, you'll step your right foot to the outside edge of your right pinky finger. Palms to the earth here. Untuck the left foot, letting the top of your left foot be on the mat. And then draw your hips towards your right heel. So draw your hips forward. Staying here, or maybe you can drop down onto your elbows. If you need a little space, you can take the right foot and slightly point it towards the right. While we rest here, you can release through the head and neck to lengthen the spine. Thinking about keeping that right knee close to the right shoulder though, not letting the right knee open up. Sinking the hips down and forward. So it's a forward pull as the hips sink down. If you have a block, you can place a block in between your hands and rest your forehead on the block. Or you can press the palms together and rest your forehead on your thumbs. You can also just let the head hang heavy. It's really up to you what feels right in your body. And then again, tuning into the breath here. This is a very intense posture. And when you find your edge, it can be really hard to stay. So imagine, or you can imagine maybe bringing yourself to this rocky, jagged cliff edge. And that's kind of your area of discomfort. And then with the breath, with each breath, you can begin to smooth out and soften that jagged edge. You can begin to find some comfort here and some comfort within the discomfort. And we'll be here for about 10 more breaths. Again, the breath is going to enter and exit through the nose. Whenever the mind begins to wander, use the breath as an anchor point, tuning back in. And then very slowly with an inhale, first begin to press up to the palms. Nice and slow, go easy on yourself. And then slowly begin to shift your hips back. And then eventually taking that right leg back behind you. Here, feel free to move your hips from side to side. Maybe undulate your spine between cat-cow. And then preparing for side two. So step the left foot forward. Untuck the top, untuck the right toes. And then from here, if you need a little space, you can just open that left foot up a little bit to the left. Draw your hips forward and down. Again, you can stay on your palms, or you can slowly move down to your elbows, to your forearms. We're always bringing those hips forward, and gravity is drawing your hips down. Again, you can use the block here for your forehead if you'd like. I like to use my thumbs. Sometimes it also feels really nice to just release the head and neck down. And again, we're drawing ourselves to the edge, to that jagged, rocky cliff edge. And then with the breath, we're going to slowly soften and smooth out those edges. We're going to find comfort here. Breathing in and out through the nose. Keeping the mind here on your mat. Keeping your awareness in your body. We'll be here for about 10 more breaths. Letting the breath enter and exit through the nose. And trying to find stillness. Trying not to fidget too much. And then very, very slowly begin to press up to your palms. Once you make it onto your palms, shift your hips back and then step that left leg back to meet the right. Finding some hip circles. Maybe moving through cat-cow again. From here, bring your knees into touch. Bring your big toes into touch. Sit your hips back onto your heels. Draw your forehead down to the mat. Tuck your arms back. Your wrists and ankles in a line, palms up towards the sky for a traditional child's pose.
Breathing deep into the belly here. And this is our final resting posture. So really releasing, really letting go. Really tuning into the breath. Even here in this posture, there might be some discomfort, maybe some agitation from holding still. So even here, we can find that rocky edge, and with the breath, we can soften that edge. Using the breath. Letting the breath anchor you to your body. And letting the breath anchor you to your practice. We'll rest here for about 5 more breaths. Very slowly, take your arms in front of you. With an inhale, slowly roll up to hands and knees. And exhale, drop the low belly, press the heart and chest forward, lift the chin. Take a deep inhale here. And then as you exhale, crossing your ankles, sitting your hips all the way back, finding yourself in a seated posture. Bringing your top palms to touch, thumbs resting at your heart center. Bowing your chin slightly into your chest. Bowing into yourself. Bowing into your stillness. And honoring your efforts. And honoring your body. Reminding yourself that it's okay to find stillness. It's okay to hold, to be present. Lifting your thumbs to your third eye, bowing to yourself and to your practice. Namaste. Thank you for sharing your practice with me today. I hope you enjoyed this yin practice, and I look forward to practicing with you again soon. Thank you.